today we might need just a bolster. If you don't have one, there's, the idea of grabbing a blanket and rolling that up. There's also an idea of just using a large, tighter cushioning. Or if you've got a yoga mat to spare, you could roll up a yoga mat, maybe put a towel around it or something like that. So this is just to help us lengthen and open a little bit today. So whatever you come up with and want to use, that's the right thing to do. And if you don't have anything near you right now, don't stress. You can still stretch out and do the usual. Now, I decided today to start the way we began last week. So if you've done the practice last week in whatever shape or form, it was a reclined bound angle pose. However, last week we were setting this up with blocks and whatnot. Today, I would ask us to lie down on the floor. Now, if you have some smaller cushions around you or blocks, they will do as well. They might help you to be a little bit more comfortable. So I will use my 2 blocks today. These again aren't essential and maybe just there for a bit of comfort. So I'll invite you to lie down on your backs. If you're using support for your legs, have that ready in your hands, touching soles of feet together, let the knees fall out towards the side. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm in my morning body right now, and that has oftentimes some stiffness to it. So I'm using the blocks under here just to support my legs, and so I don't feel stressed around the pelvis and my lower back. I could just remove them, but then I would be slightly distracted with a bit of discomfort there. So what I'm trying to say is, if you don't have any blocks or any support, you can do this pose without, but it might just be nice to assist yourself a little bit in it. If you feel a thin cushioning under the head would be useful, you could place that there too. You could then choose to just close the eyes for a moment. Maybe let the hands fall out and away to the sides and moving a bit into the shoulders to find the comfort on the ground. And for a moment, connecting to the physical body in which you are present on your mat and you've created that shape in. If you're still feeling uncomfortable somewhere, and this shape isn't for everybody, so if despite potential support you're not feeling right here, you can of course change the way you're lying there on your back. I would love to go back into the idea of the water element as well as the flow, and the idea that during the winter months we are really longing for a little bit of quiet and inner peace. So we will repeat the mudra and maybe intensify our practice with the mudra a bit. So that was to touch your thumb together with your little finger. We'll do that on each hand and keep the arms resting there. Thumbs touching the little fingers if that's doable for you. Shoulders soft, eye gaze steady or your eyes closed. Let's bring some awareness to the hands and the position that we placed our fingers in. If you have trouble noticing that there's anything going on by just touching 2 fingers, I suggest you could release that for a moment, moving the fingers for a bit. And then let the hands relax into the open space. Still be present with sensations around your hands. And when ready, touching some back to the little fingers. And maybe it becomes more apparent. It doesn't have to, but maybe you get a bit clearer on a slight shift of energy through your hands. Stay with this sensation for a moment and notice if it expands somewhere into the body. Allowing yourself at the same time to explore everything else that's going on for you in this moment. Don't dig too deep, just look at what is present right now. Allowing the flow of breath to intensify slightly. As you begin to breathe more deeply, I will invite you into a slightly reversed full yogi breath this morning. So while you're inhaling, let the belly rise, that's usual. Ribs expand up to collarbones. But now let the chest fall first. The ribs come in and then the belly. While the belly rises again on the inhale, ribs expanding, lift the breath up to your collarbones. And when you're exhaling, let the upper chest relax, rib cage, and belly. I'll ask you to continue that. Belly, ribs to collarbones on the inhale, and collarbones, ribs to belly on the out breath. You're used to using that constriction in the back of the throat that we call Ujjayi breath. You're welcome to do that. Otherwise, just concentrating on the breath itself and the pattern that you're drawing into the body. We have habits and we always breathe this full yogi breath in the same way. There is benefits to do it the other way. And maybe allowing that to become steady. The same length on the in-breath to the out-breath. Allowing a flow that lifts up all the way to the higher chest and that drops right from there as you feel at the end of the exhalation, the belly gently drawing inward. Then we let it go straight away again as the belly opens, the lifting the breath all the way up towards the collarbones. If you like and you are not quite sure if your breath is in balance, you might choose to count it. And I do invite you today to go maybe that one count extra. Only if it doesn't strain your breath. If you're already quite extended into your breathing, you can stay there. But just an encouragement to lengthen that little bit more. Hopefully being at a minimum count of 4 without much limit to the upper count. Only not to stress about your breath, not to strain. Stay with that for a few more breaths. For 3 rounds now, I invite you to breathe in the same way and to create the sound vam on the out breath. Whether you're doing that out aloud or silently is up to you. So vam is the sound. We're breathing in. Vam. 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 Keep breathing deeply in your pattern. And with the next inhalation, let's lift the knees up. Plant the feet down onto the mat. Tilt just a little bit through the pelvis. Then squeeze the buttocks and just lifting your hips a tad bit off the ground towards a bridge. And then roll back down onto your back. Relaxing, opening through the sit bones, buttocks melting into the ground. We're tilting again, just the pelvis, squeezing the buttocks, lifting the hips a little bit more, up to you. And rolling back down on an out breath. Spreading sit bones, buttocks into the mat. On the inhale, tilt and squeeze the hips up. On the exhale, rolling back down. Do so one more time. Just that tilt as you squeeze to lift. And breathing out to lower. Landing again on the ground. Let your arms just drift a little bit further up. Still keep them at comfort. And let your knees with the feet reasonably wide apart. Maybe not changing anything at all. Just let the knees rock a bit from side to side. Preparing for a little bit of a deeper stretch, but allowing the body to move a bit first. If it's possible, after you completed your round of side to side, extend your legs out. If your arms can reach up over the head, get them there. And then start to walk straight arms, straight legs to the right while you remain lying on the ground. And just bringing some space in preparation in towards the right side of the body. As if you could breathe from the feet up all the way in that half moon shape to your fingers. Then center legs and arms again and let them slide across to the left. Allowing length as you breathe in from the feet all the way through that stretch on the right hand side to your fingers. And then find back into the center. Step your feet down once more. We will need our bolster, so you might want to pull the bolster in. Pulling over to your side as you place the bolster down roughly at about the height of the rib cage. So I invite you to find your lower ribs and lie them over the bolster. Now, if you need extra cushioning, that's perfectly fine. And this cushioning could be a block or another cushion that you might have nearby. So I'm inviting you to lie over with the lower rib cage And you can either use a hand to rest on, you can let the head fall down and leave the shoulder hanging down just across your cushioning, maybe using a block or another cushion to rest the head upon. And as you start with your knees bent, you might want to try and lengthen the legs out long. And only if that feels good, maybe lengthening the other arm over the head as well. Allowing a big, long body. And as you take your next inhale, breathe back from belly up to collarbones. And down from collarbones to belly as you lightly contract. Allow a few more breaths just to be like this. And you could imagine that there's like the water flows from feet up towards your hands on the in-breath, and down from your hands to your feet on the out-breath. Creating a bit of space over the side body. And if you like, you can stay here. If it's comfortable for you, stay. If it isn't, you can remove the bolster from underneath. And you might just bend your left knee. And if you can reach, catching the foot. Or even the ankle if you prefer. As you hold on, keep your foot reasonably close towards your buttocks. And start to move your hips forward. You can either hold here or you can push the foot a little bit into the hand, maybe increasing the length over the front thigh. Take one more breath here. Then release. Release your foot. Bring your hand down onto, I will still keep calling this a bolster, onto the bolster and roll it a little bit downwards. I would love you now to lean the right side of the hip over your bolster. Maybe the head finds a support again, so there's a bit more comfort in the lower shoulder. You can, of course, always bend your knees if something bothers you in the body. Make sure that you're feeling safe and supported here. Otherwise, your legs might come out long. I'd ask you to just breathe deeply again. So ideally using that full yogi breath with which we started, that slight reverse for the out breath. If you like to extend your arm again over the head, you're welcome to. Creating maybe even more length is just being an option. Taking a few full deep breaths in and out and just holding here. One more breath. Keep this length or position. Bring your left hand down and start to carefully roll to the front of the body, where you allow your hips to rest on the bolster and where we allow our head to just fall for a moment. Your knees might be bent, and if that's any troublesome for your back, you can bend the knees a little bit and swing the legs gently. But otherwise, you might keep the legs out long. And just allowing the hips to sink over the bolster, to soften down into the arms, and close the eyes here at any time and just softening down. letting your heart sink down towards the ground. If it feels good, we might all bend the knees for a moment. Just let the feet swing a little bit from side to side. And maybe you're feeling that light stimulation there in the front and the hip flexor area. Wouldn't do too much to it at this stage. Just keep sinking down into the mat. One more breath here. Then release your legs down. Bring the hands down by the sides, pushing yourself up, and then let's slide the bolster a little bit forward. You can rest your forearms down as you sink back towards the heels. So maintaining the head lifted off the ground, let your shoulders drop back and create space between your shoulder blades. The hands can soften, but the spine feels really stretched out and long. Your tailbone moving slightly backwards as you create that length, the body sitting close towards the heels. Allow again a full deep yogi breath. If your legs are wide, that shouldn't be much of a change. But if your knees are in, observe where the breath is going, expanding into the sides of the body and into the back. And stay with that for a couple more breaths. After your next exhalation, let's lift back up onto the knees. And now find the rib cage on the left-hand side. Sit down and lie over the bolster. You can use again a block, a cushion for underneath your head. Let the shoulder hang down free. And once you're in this place, you might start extending the legs out. If you feel better with your knees bent, there's no problem with that either. And you could, if you want further extension, let the right arm drop to the floor over your head. You might again think about the flow from your feet up to your hands on the breath in. From your hands down to your feet on the breath out. As you now know, there's no need to move at all, but there's no necessity to stay over the bolster either. So if this feels a little bit challenging for you, you might want to remove what's underneath you. But if you would like to stay here, you could start bending your right knee and maybe reaching with your hand towards your foot or your ankle. So feel different comparison to the other side. So while you might start holding your foot towards your buttocks, begin to bring your hips forward. And when that feels good, you could bring the foot into the hand, but keep your hips moving forward as you hold. Letting space around your quads, hip flexors, shoulder, front body. Then let go of the foot again, bringing your hand down, push yourself up a little. You can pull this bolster in as I invite you to lie the side of the hip over the bolster now. And if that's possible for you, use a cushion again under the head, so to keep little pressure on the shoulder joint, and maybe extending the legs back out. Creating a little bit more length now over the side. So if it is you, you can extend the arm again over the head, maintaining the length in the side body now. And again, deep breathing. And if you like to imagine breath or water flowing from feet to hands and hands to feet, then on the out breath. Creation of space in the sides. One more breath there. Then softening your knees, slide the hand in, push yourself away, remove maybe cushioning from underneath the head. And this time I would ask you to move the bolster a little bit forward. We're still lying to the front of the body again, but we will bring the hips down to the floor this time. Let the lower ribs touch the bolster. And if that's doable for you, just resting the forearms down into a swing. I will also encourage you to have your legs a little bit wider than usual, but to engage down into the legs, slightly switch the glutes on. And there's not much support needed for this back bend. So the arms are gently touching the ground, the shoulders relaxed. The gaze might be forward, or you're looking forward with your eyes closed. Just pause here for a moment. A supported way of bending backwards, regaining some of the energy. Now, while you're next exhaling, turn your gaze down the right side of the body. Notice the shift that occurs elsewhere. And as you're breathing in, come back to the swings. And as you're breathing out, looking down the left side. Maybe you can even get a glimpse of your foot. As you inhale, center yourself. On the exhale, go and look down the right side. On the inhale, come to center. On the exhale, look down to the left. While you come back to the center this time, either continue what we've just been doing, or keep your lower body strength and extend the arms away from the ground, using the whole hand to support you. Keep your shoulders down. And you might then continue what we've just done. We're not really moving, we're just moving the gaze. On the inhale, come to center. On the exhale, look down the left. And no matter where you are now, repeat once more to each side. When you come back into the center and you are completed, let the elbows soften back down onto the mat. Then step your hands in, maybe even further in. Push down into the ground. And you can choose to, for a moment, remove the bolster. We will need it again later on when we come to our relaxation. So once you're ready, find your way up into a standing position. No need to rush your way there. We've been way too comfortable there on the ground, stretching ourselves out and long. But we might get that little bit warmer with the next movement. So in anticipation, I'm removing one layer. You might be in a warmer environment, so don't worry. As we come to stand closer towards the front of the mat, placing your feet a little bit wider apart, bring your hands onto your hips and just start to soften the knees and circle the hips around a few times. And maybe you can feel that there's that little bit more room to move as we focus on extending the body first. Then change the direction. And then step your feet even wider apart. Turn the toes a little bit outwards. Bring a bit of a bend into your knees. So the knees come and align with the toes. As we inhale, on the exhale, drop your right shoulder and look up. You can support with your hands down on your thighs. On the inhale, center yourself. Keep your knees bent. On the out breath, drop the left shoulder down, look over the right. We'll do that again. Inhale, stand up. Exhaling, twist. Inhaling, stand up. Exhaling, twist. If you want to do a little bit more, you could reach the opposite hand down towards the shin. The other hand might still support you on the thigh. Inhale as you're rising, and if you like, you can go even deeper, maybe reaching for the ankle. Inhaling, come up. Exhaling, reach and twist. Go for one more to each side, no matter how far you're going. And then we will go back over towards the right-hand side, and I invite you to hold here. If you like, can you straighten the legs? You can still use your thigh, turning a little bit deeper. If you don't need the thigh, you might want to extend your arm up, feeling grounded through the feet. Maybe the legs are straightening. Then bend both knees again. Bring the hand back down to the thigh. Take an inhale, rise to stand. And as you exhale, reach over to the other side to hold. Starting to open through the shoulder, maybe legs are lengthening, maybe the arm is lifting. Many maybes for holding where we feel is right for us. Keep your gaze slightly lifted. Legs might be long. And this time we release that into the center. So you might keep your legs long, or you can have a bend in the knees. But I invite you to turn the heels of it out so the toes are now pointing forward, allowing the upper body to release towards the mat. Your hands might either be underneath your shoulders, or you can point your fingertips behind you. Keep the shoulders slightly lifted. Let your weight sit forward within the feet. I invite you here back into full breathing. So allow the in-breath to lift from belly up to your collarbones and then travel back down. And as the exhale happens, squeezing the tummy in a little, deepening the forward fold. And as you breathe in, expand the belly again up to the collarbones. And as you're exhaling, release from the collarbones down towards the belly and that light squeeze into the abdomen. Repeat the breath and hold the shape just for one more. Deep full in and deep full exhale. When you completed that breath, heel and toe your feet to come in a little bit closer and start to roll yourself up into standing. We'll take a breath in to lift the arms, maybe also the gaze. And then we step back just with the right foot and take the hands to the heart. So now we've got a lunge. If you're struggling with the lunges, you can lower the back foot. Now, while you're taking a breath in, let's open the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades and draw them down. And as you're breathing out, cross your arms, slide your hands into the armpits, squeeze the hands there, around your back, tuck the chin. And then do that again. As you're inhaling, open the palms up, squeeze the shoulder blades down, maybe open your gaze. And now change the arm, your hand on top, and squeeze it in. Let's open once more, this time potentially to hold. So shoulder blades are squeezing together and downwards, palms are facing up. And you might begin to deepen the bend in your knees. Sinking a little bit lower, adding that element of strength into your legs. Then release. Hands to your heart and the back heel to the floor. So now we're in a warrior one stance, keeping the hips more or less facing forward. As you're inhaling, you might lift the arms, lift your gaze. Gaze lifters is always optional. It's more about how does it feel in your neck. As you breathe in, lean forward, bring your hands to your heart, shift the weight into that foot, push it into the ground and step to the front. Then release the arms. Pausing here for a moment in your mountain. With the next inhale, lifting the arms again. Bringing your hands down to your heart as you're stepping your left foot back into a lunge. So make sure that the feet are a little bit apart, otherwise the stance isn't quite as balanced as we might want it to be. So while you're taking an in-breath, open the palms up, squeeze the shoulder blades together and down. And as you're exhaling, cross the arms, tuck the hands into the armpits, squeeze the hands there, round your back, tuck the chin. And when you're inhaling, open the palms again. Start to squeeze your shoulder blades back and down, open your gaze. We'll change the arm that was on top. As the hands slide back into the armpits, we'll squeeze them there, rounding the back. And then as you're next inhaling, let's open that again. As you open here to hold, keep your shoulder blades close and down, the palms open, and start to sink a little bit deeper into your knees if available to you. Hold here, gaze could be forward or lifted. As we inhale, and on the exhale, touch the hands and lower the back heel. As we aim to stand here in Warrior One, there's the option to lift the arms. Maybe also the gaze, just notice how you're feeling. You could do so lower, higher, or even keep your hands at the heart if you prefer. Just notice where you're at. Take one more breath in your warrior shape. And then bring the hands down to the chest and start to shift the weight into that front foot. And really press down into the foot as you step the other one forward. And then releasing your arms down. Taking one deep inhale and exhale. I am inviting you today to practice a down dog against the wall. If you don't have a wall, you probably have a shelf like this or something at a good height. So you might just turn around either to take a hold of the wall in front or a shelf. Whatever you have got there, your hands might rest up as you step your feet back. So what I'd love you to hold is a downward facing dog against the support. If your hands are on the wall, they might be flat. If you're resting against a shelf like myself, you might keep your wrists extended. And just stepping the feet back underneath the hips, encouraging a light engagement of the lower abdominal muscles, keeping your shoulders open. And we might then just keep the weight on the right foot, holding this downward facing dog as you're lifting through the left leg and extending that back like a warrior 3. So there will be a lot of strength in the standing leg, leaving the spine long here, flexing through the left foot so the hips can face down. Then point the toes, and as you breathe out, squeeze the left knee to nose. Then push out through the heel as you inhale, come back to the left. Point the toes, and on the out breath, draw that back in. And then one more as you're extending the leg out. Inhale, point and breathe out, tuck the knee in. Let us step the foot down, soften the knees, and release for a moment into a forward fold. Let your whole body be supported and hang down. Now let us wait for an out breath so we can curl up in a supported way. As you're lifting again, pull the shoulders gently back and arrive in standing. Take one deep breath here. You might then reach back for your support for the hands and back into your downward facing dog. If you had just stepped forward a little bit, align yourself back with the long spine, a gentle support of your lower belly to support the lower back. The shoulders are open and away from the ears. In this downward facing dog, we shift the weight to the left foot, lifting the right leg and extending it back. Extend right out through the heel of this foot. We find our weight resting more or less in the left leg, and there's only the hands there as a support. Let's point the toes for the inhale, and then breathe out and draw nose and knee together. But here we're flexing the foot then as we're inhaling to extend, point it, and breathe out to draw the knee to the chest. Do that one more time as you inhale, extend. Exhale and curl it in. Let's release that foot down to the mat. Let the hands soften down once more. Bend your knees. Let the body hang down. And you might want to add a bit of a swaying movement here from side to side. Let us lower down. Bring the knees down to the floor. Release yourself down to sit, and if you want any support underneath your hips, make it a light one, maybe sitting up on a cushion. Extending your left leg out long while you're bending the right knee, resting the sole of the foot against at the inner thigh or somewhere against the lower leg. Take your fingertips down and pull the left leg into the hip socket. Take a deep breath in. There's a flexion in the right foot, maybe a bend. Sorry, left foot, and maybe a bend in the left knee. And as you're then exhaling, let's take the hands forward. Resting, maybe the head lowers down towards the knee. Janu Shirshasana, the head to knee pose. If you're after a tad bit more, your right hand could reach to the outside of your extended leg. Or you're still just folding forward, nothing else. We might change that a little, as you could slide your left hand along the side of the body and reach your fingertips backwards. So your arms are open and long. If this feels good, you can turn your gaze on your next out breath to your left hand fingertips. Let's roll ourselves up to a sit. Taking your arms around as you place the back of the hand against the knee, other hand fingertips behind. Keep yourself grounded on both sit bones and twist. Shoulders might still be relaxed. Then let's swing the hand from the front around. Slide the right foot against the left or the other way around. Geez, what's going on? And extending the right leg out. Same here, you can place the left foot inner thigh or lower. Have your hands down on the ground to support and pull the straight leg in a bit. Keep the toes of the right foot pointing up, maybe bending the knee as we inhale. And then on the exhale, finding your way over that leg. It doesn't matter how far we can go. These are all just directions to move towards. Head might go down towards the knee. If you feel that's all right and you would like to extend a bit, the left hand might reach to the outside of the left leg. We're still just folding in that same direction, down towards the extended leg. If you would like to extend that experience, you can slide the right hand back and extend your fingertips to point behind you, so the arms are opening. If that feels good, on the next exhale, could you look towards the right hand finger? Then roll back up to sit on the inhale and swing the arms around, so back of the hand against the knee for the out-breath. Same here for this twist, stay grounded through both sit bones, extended leg active, shoulders relaxed. As we release that, sliding your feet to touch again. So making sure that you're sitting reasonably far forward on your mat, that you've got your bolster nearby, so you could lie yourself down onto the ground when needed. We will take a hold of the outer edges of the feet, and you don't have to do any of this whatsoever. If you can, lift the feet off the ground. And if you can, start to lift the feet. You can keep your knees bent or the legs can extend, whatever you prefer to do. And I'm then inviting you, as you're balancing here, to round your back, to fall to the ground, and to extend the legs again. Whether you're holding onto your feet now or you're holding onto your legs, doesn't matter. Just hold on where it is in reach and straighten your legs out, pressing the heels away. You can hold onto the legs if that's more comfortable. You can even let the legs drop into the hands. So similar support to what we've done when we began and had the knees falling out. Now we're supporting the straight legs and inviting maybe a bit more openness through the inside of the legs. Stay for 2 more breaths. And then bend your knees and step your feet down onto the ground. I invite you to take your bolster, lift your hips up and slide it underneath the lower back. You can then choose to just stay here. I'll leave you with multiple choices. You could choose to extend your legs out as though we're expanding a bit more on what we started with. We're creating now that space in the front body. If this isn't right for your back, you could instead come into an inversion. So your choice, feet on the ground, holding a supported bridge. Legs out long for an extended bridge and a stretch into the front of the body, or lifting the feet up for your inversion. Asking you to remain in your chosen shape for a couple more breaths. I don't know that. Then release. Step your feet down onto the ground. Squeeze the buttocks and push the hips up. And then push the bolster down towards the knees, if you're using one, that is. I let the knees fall over it and let the upper body come to relax. You might want to roll the head gently to release any tension that might be in the neck. Before you find stillness here. You could even cover yourself with a blanket. Get really comfortable if you like. I will invite you into a meditation to finish our practice this morning, but we will do so lying down unless you would like to do that seated. But before we get there, I invite you into the stillness of Shavasana. To let the body become quiet. To feel the contact of your body to the floor. To sense back into the breath. To feel the flow through the nostrils. Right down into your lungs. The belly rising. And the flow reverses as the belly falls leaves the lungs and out through the nostrils again. The breath might become more subtle over time as the body relaxes more deeply. Stay with the observation of the body, the breath, for a little longer. We'll move on to extend into meditation. If you would like to stay lying down, might be a nice idea to finish. If you prefer to sit up, make sure that the spine is long. And we will go back to the mudra. We touch our thumbs to the little fingers, leaving the other 3 fingers extended and the hands facing upwards. Either the backs of the hands resting against the floor or against your thighs. This mudra we practiced before. It is called Jala Mudra. I encourage you to hold the mudra and feel into its energy again. Anything that arises. Maybe notice how your breath flows gently down into the pelvis, the home of the water element. Visualize all the expressions of water within your pelvis. Lakes and rivers, seas, streams, and all infusing you with the quality of fluidity. Take several breaths to attune to your pelvis more deeply, sensing water's essential quality of fluidity, bathing this area completely. As your pelvis is infused with fluidity, the stream of liquid energy flows outwards to nourish your entire being. With your next inhaling breath, attune to your fluid essence within your pelvis. And as you exhale, sense your stream of liquid healing energy bathing your reproductive system completely, supporting its optimal functioning. With your next in-breath, return to the center of your being. And as you exhale, sense fluidity bathing your urinary system. From the kidneys down to your bladder, with soothing energy. With your next inhalation, attune to your center of fluidity. And as you exhale, sense how this quality supports your lymphatic system and removing residues from your body tissues efficiently. Take several breaths to sense your lymphatic system as a smoothly flowing stream. Its purifying power allows all of your body's organs to function optimally. With your next inhaling breath, reconnect with the seat of the water element. And as you exhale, sense a stream of healing energy bathing all of your muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Suppleness and flexibility, allowing your joints to be lubricated naturally. As your body is infused with the quality of fluidity, you naturally experience greater ease within your psycho-emotional being, nourishing your relationships and allowing you to flow through life with greater equanimity. With greater equanimity, you naturally embrace transitions more easily, flowing with the stream of life at each moment of your journey. You like to affirm your essential fluidity. Repeat the following 3 times, out aloud or silently after me. With greater fluidity at all levels of being, I move through life smoothly and easily. With greater fluidity at all levels of being, I move through life smoothly and easily. With greater fluidity at all levels of being, I move through life smoothly and easily. Let your hand gesture release. Take some more breaths to absorb water's healing essence. Beginning to reawaken the body as you move and breathe. When you're ready, guiding yourself back into a seated shape with hands touching in front of the chest. Have a light bow of the head. Neck back down to the pelvis, your water storage. Remind yourself of the flow, the intention to flow with ease. That space of ease we're extending to each other. Namaste.